Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Extraordinary Weekend Edition on here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, we will take a review of what happened at Delta State a couple of days ago when the National Youth Games had its feverish attention and was concluded just a few days ago. We'll look at how the states fared during the National Youth Games and what is in the future for youths in the world of sports. And we'll come to, of course, football. Talking about football, this has been a wonderful week, especially for Rivers United in the Premier League here in Nigeria. They've gotten their first 3 points away. We'll look at what Finidi George can offer Rivers United in the season 2024-2025 here in Premier League football in Nigeria. Across Europe, UEFA Champions League is back in a new format, and of course, we're seeing matches produce as many as 10 goals plus. Wow. UEFA Champions League in go crazy fashion in the very first match of the league format of the 2024-2025 UEFA Champions League season. A lot to talk about this weekend across, and I have with me a guest that has knowledge of what has transpired in the whole week. And so I want you to sit back and relax. After this break, we'll bring you details of what sports is like, especially this weekend. Stay with us. Welcome back, Sports Extraordinary Weekend Edition here on Atlantic Television Network. Kingsley Emmanuel has been following the sporting activities all week, and he's here. Kingsley, nice to have you this weekend.
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Siri. Very happy.
Especially at the Keshi Stadium in Asaba.
Yeah, it actually went well, especially for the whole state, talking about that right from, the opening day or for this particular National Youth Games, down to the very end as well. And for me, I think it was really a very good outing for Delta State this time around. Though when you take a look at the number of gold medals they amassed, I think was about 46 gold medals. You will see a little the National Youth Game is their birthright. Since 2016, they put up high level of dominance and high level of performance, and of course, being at the top when it has to do with the medal table is a very good one. And they've actually, so many persons have attributed it, to the facilities and how they've gone about in doing.
Yes, talking about the facilities reminds me, Delta State largely has been a host for some time now, and a lot of people boxed it down to the level of facilities spread across Delta State. They have some in Asaba, Warri, and the other cities across in Delta State. How modern are the facilities being used at the National Youth Games?
Well, for me, I think you take a look at the facilities they use this time around. I think for me, when it has to do with facilities, we're seeing them, of course, coming up with this level of performance every time at the National Youth Games. Not just the facilities as well. They've also gone ahead to see
it is still common knowledge and
make sure that they are, of course, of the required age, not bringing athletes that are above 15 16, 17, 18-year-old athlete competing with a 15 or 13 years old athlete. At the end of the day, their strength, of course, won't be the same at the end of the day. So for me, I think it's not a bad idea if they want to take it back, to 17, years, just for the state, to be able to comply. And I think for me, check this last that are coming from the national youth game. Are they really? What are their age? Are they
but why is this so difficult for us?
That was during the time of Sunday Diary. I said the machine is too expensive. Getting MIR in terms of checking the age
of sports in Nigeria, because like a case like in tennis, we've had to such an athlete. But if we had a quality MIR system, we would have thrown up a tennis player that could be followed up and will be exposed to other tournaments, both locally and internationally, and he will graduate to be the 8th edition of the Delta's National Youth Games at position. We seem to have had less of complaints as compared to previous National Youth Games.
Yeah, I think for me that's as a result of proper organization at this time around. We didn't hear much about
like especially in the issue of transport. So most of the venues were well apart in terms of distance.
Yeah, provide means whereby this athlete can transport themselves from one venue to the other. We didn't hear much complaint about that. Talking about accommodation as well. Last time we got to report that most of the got a report that there were mosquitoes. The room were not properly put in order. But this time I think there were no complaint of such, and I think kudos also must be given to the organizers for making sure that we do not get such kind of reports anymore. And then think for me, if you take a look at this time around in terms of organization, Delta State, they actually raised the bar in terms of facility and as well as the organization of the competition as it is. Though when it has to do with the media hype, we didn't really have much of it. And at some point, in terms of publicity, it wasn't really that top-notch. But and as well, for me, I think the only part where they didn't actually come up with a very top-notch performance was the aspect of always trying to see how to put up whatever they're doing online. Especially most of the time, some journalists find it difficult, of course, to get the medal table or to know what the medal table is at the moment. So I think for me, next time, the page in the social media pages where they're supposed to update some of the information, we do not see them. But we hope that maybe the organizers, of course, will take note of this and improve in the next edition of the National Youth Games. National
Youth Games concluded in Delta State Asaba a couple of days ago. We're taking a review of what happened there. Principally, Kingsley, it was like River State was prominently missing among the states that were at Asaba. So we had 35 states, there, and prominently again we had one state, Gombe State, with one athlete, and wow, the athlete did represent well, if you ask me. 3 gold medals in gymnastics from one athlete from the state, and putting Gombe in what looks like a decent position, given that it was and one athlete participation at the Youth Games coming from Gombe State. So I'd like you to wait.
Today, I still wonder who was able to put up that level of performance at the game. I think kudos, of course, was given to her for that particular. At this point in time, we expect the sport ministry to get and see how they can groom her. We don't have gymnasts in the country. That's just the truth. So if we can possibly take up this girl and see how to put up, train her and give her the best of her welfare. She's just 13 years of age. She still has a very good time, in her side. If we start at this early stage, to put her down there, I think should be for River State. For me, I think some of the athletes down here will be very, very disappointed, looking at the fact that they actually would have probably maybe gotten 1 or 2 gold medals for themselves, even not even getting the gold medal.
Could be some outstanding athletes. Anyone that was striking for you at the Youth Games, Kingsley?
Yeah, of course. The girl we just talked about, Muya Warenga, the 13-year-old girl that won a gold medal in gymnastics, of course, was one of the standard athletes in that particular one. She was very, very fantastic as well. We also saw the likes of Imi Ojo Ikado in the chess event. She put up a very, very impressive performance for chess, and coming from Delta State as well.
She's just 8 years of age, I understand?
Yeah, 8 years of age, and for me, she put up a very impressive performance. You see some of this, lads that knows how to play some of these sports and put them together, give them proper education as well, train them. I tell you, in future, will not lack, those that will represent us in sports, like this. So for me, I think those were, the standard performance, as well as we saw some as well, especially for Team Lagos in boxing. They had a very impressive performance in boxing, and with this, if we can continue to nurture these talents, I think we'll be able to have those that will represent us in different federations going forward.
Well, I think that's very interesting. With chess is getting more attention, and with an 8-year-old being a standout athlete at the National Youth Games, we hope that the Chess Federation will keep an eye on her and see whether she could be the next chess master for Nigeria. Kingsley, the National Youth Games is come and gone. We saw Lagos State in the second place position. Edo came third. We mentioned 35 states on the medals table, where all these 35 had gotten at least a medal, or were there a state that did not enter on the medals table?
I think that the 35 states, got to medal. Even Ebonyi, that had a very pop outing last time, were able at least to grab a medal, back home. And for me, back home. We didn't see any state going back home, crying or getting bored. At least they participated and also were able, of course, to take something back home. For me, I would say it's an improvement. We've seen states now trying to step up and see what we can be able to do.
Something interesting I just came to my mind, but we don't seem to have the habitat for swimming in the area, yet there was an athlete who won the medal in swimming for Borno State.
Honestly, very, very surprising, Mr. Siri, because even that we have, rivers all around this, let's say the
Niger
Delta region. I think Delta State, yes, they tried in swimming. You could talk about Bayelsa State as well. They also tried, but seeing a Borno State, athletes, coming up top in terms of swimming, I tell you, as it's very, very surprising performance. And this is what we're talking about. When it has to do with swimming, we don't really venture into it, whereas we have what it takes, to be able to harness talents in swimming. But at the end of the day, we do not really pay much attention to it. But kudos to the athletes coming up top, in swimming all the way from Borno State.
Asaba 2024 is come and gone. Where next are we headed for the National Youth Games here in Nigeria?
According to reports, we hear Delta, of course, will be the next, will be the venue, for the next edition. I tell you, because they have the facilities, and when it has to do with organization, they are putting up top-notch organization of the game. So where would they want to take it to? That's the thing. Would they want to take it to where the facilities are not there? If the National League comes up next year, 2025, there's no time.
I think they've signed a contract already long before this time for us to for them to host us, and I'm sure they have done their best, and we hope that other states will develop their facilities so that they will be able to compete with Delta State of the National Youth Games. Athletes from the National Youth Games are expected to be conditioned for continental and, of course, international meets, and, of course, the biggest one, which will be the Olympics Games. And talking about the Olympic Games, remind me, Kingsley, that the federal government of Nigeria have set up committees to look at the shambolic outing of Team Nigeria, both at the Paris Olympic Games, where we had the able-bodied athletes, and the Para-Olympics at the same Paris. Kingsley, for the able-bodied athletes in Paris, they returned back in, I say, really, really bad fashion in terms of medals return. And for the Paralympians, in the past, we've always relied on them to bring medals to Nigeria, but they were short by at least surpassing maybe continental and international standards meets. Kingsley, do you really want to look at this committee? Was there need? Is there need to set up the committee?
Bicycle, to be able to participate. Remember the case of Favour Philly. These are situations on ground that we shouldn't, that Nigerians should not hear, or the world shouldn't hear about Nigeria. Whenever we go out for the Olympic game, there's one issue or the other. So for me, I think there is need for this committee, of course, to be put up, and as well, that's why the sport minister is doing this. And we hear they've summoned the president of the Nigerian Olympic Committee. They have also summoned this moment. Nothing has been done. How was Favour Philly's name
entered into for a major sporting event?
In a major sporting event, which probably she would have even, put up a very impressive performance.
Yeah, because she was shot by 0.04 meters with from the athlete that won. Had the system tainted, yet it was at the games. That was an embarrassment for Nigeria. Haven't been through this before, and we should have avoided this pitfalls as well. So we hope the committee will do their job of the matter. Time for us to take a break. When we return from the break, we'll go international. There's a United, and across to Europe, the UEFA Champions League is here. And we're having matches that produce as many here. But for next year, there's an additional $9 million that has been pumped into the Diamond League. Wow. If you're not from this bonanza that has happened in the world of athletics.
Essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, boats and high-riding trucks capable of navigating the treacherous, waterlogged areas are urgently required to reach the countless men, women and children still awaiting rescue. The Nigerian media is issuing a desperate plea to the government, humanitarian organizations, international actors and citizens across the nation. Step in now, before it's too late. For more information on how you can help, contact Professor Usman A. Tar, the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Borno State, on 0809-233-3955. Every second counts.
This is powered by Atlantic Television Network.
Welcome back. A Sports Extraordinary Weekend edition here on Atlantic Television Network. It's been a weekend where we're reviewing the National Youth Games that came to an end in Delta State with the host state, Delta State, winning, Lagos State coming second, and Edo State in the third place position. It was a game where it had attraction of Gombe State presenting one athlete that won 3 gold medals in the gymnastic event, and we equally had an athlete that won medal at the age of 8 in chess. That's really remarkable. So we hope the federations will keep an eye on the athletes that have been so far discovered at the 8 Youth Games for proper conditioning for the country in a lot of events that are coming up subsequently. Kingsley, you are here, and let's look at one more story from the world of athletics, and it has to do with that exposes top stars from across the globe. And this time around, we understand we are coming up in 2025. We'll have an additional money as whooping as $9 million has been added to the previous game at the Diamond League coming up next year.
Rubbing shoulders with the world #1 Iga Swiatek or Arina Sabalenka. Talk about Jessica